What are some ways to represent decimals? Think about this during the lesson. A squirrel can weigh 1/64 pounds. There are different ways to represent 1/64. One way is to use a place value model. The place value model can be used to write the expanded form of the number.
Fourth graders, if you remember from the beginning of the year, we talked about expanded form, and that's just breaking the number down, adding them all together so that you end up with the original number. So you'll see here we have 1 whole, 6 tenths, and 4 hundredths. So if you add 1 whole plus 6 tenths plus 4 hundredths, you'll end up with the number right here, 1/64. So one way to represent a number like this is using expanded form, which you'll all be doing in your independent practice and problem solving. So you'll need to know how to break a number down into its parts, add them all together, because that's expanded form.
How can the place value model be used to write the standard form of the number?
Here's another way to represent a number, and this is the one we're used to seeing. It's just the plain old standard way of writing a number. So you're used to seeing this, and you would read this as 1/64. So another way you're going to be asked to write numbers today is standard, and that's just the regular way of writing a number.
The standard form is written the same as in the place value chart. Read the standard form and think about how to write the word form.
That's the third way you're going to be asked how to write decimals and numbers is in word form. And we've done this before too, so the easiest way to do this is read your standard form, read your number out loud, and we all know how to read this. You would read it as 1/64. And you would just simply write that, 1/64.
When you read the word form, it sounds exactly the same as reading the standard form. Why do you write "and" when writing a decimal in word form? The "and" represents the decimal point and indicates that the rest of the number is to the right of the decimal point. Another way to represent a decimal is to use a decimal model. What decimal is this model showing? This model shows 1 whole. This model shows the decimal 1/6. This model shows the decimal 1/64. You have now seen several ways to represent decimals. When you see a decimal, think about all its different forms.
Okay, so today, during independent practice and problem solving, you'll be asked to write numbers in expanded form where you break them apart like this into each of their parts, the standard form, which is just the regular way we write numbers, and the word form, so spelling out that number with words. So I'm going to show you just a couple more examples before you try these by yourself. So let's say we have the number 3.19, and we would read that as 3/19. So 3.19 is just our standard way of writing this number. Now expanded form, I have to break it apart. So I see, that I have 3 wholes plus 1/10. That's how we write 1/10 as a decimal, and you know that. Plus 9 hundredths. And that's how you write 9 hundredths as a decimal, and you know that as well. So if we add 3 plus 1/10 plus 9 hundredths, you end up with 3 and 1900ths. Now, if I were to read this number out loud, then I can write it out in word form. And I would read that as 3 and 1900ths. So here we have standard form, expanded form, and word form. I'm going to show you one more. Let's say we have this number, 5.28, and we would read that as 5 and 2800ths. Now, 5.28 is just our standard regular way of writing this number. Now, expanded form is I've got to expand it, break it apart. So I see that I have 5 wholes plus 2 tenths. That's how we write 2 tenths as a decimal, plus 8 hundredths. That's how we write 8 hundredths as a decimal. So 5 plus 2 tenths plus 8 hundredths will give you 5 and 28 hundredths. Now word form, again, the trick is to just read that number out loud and then write what you're reading out loud. So you have 5 and 28 hundredths. So again, standard form, expanded form, and word form. So good luck.